Good evening and welcome to the Municipality of Monroeville's regular council meeting for July 9th, 2019. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Roll call, please.
Mayor Griessock?
Here.
Mrs. Gatos?
Here.
Mr. Poach?
Here.
Mr. Harvey?
Here.
Mr. Johns? Mr. Arasenko?
Here.
Mr. Duncan?
Here.
Mr. Wilson?
Here.
Mr. Little?
Here.
Mr. Ratcher?
Here.
Ms. Rock?
Here.
Mr. Hugus?
Here.
Mr. Sedlak?
Here.
Mr. Weldon?
Here.
Council, we're going to open up with a presentation from the Monroeville Volunteer Fire Department chiefs. Are the chiefs here?
No, just one.
Just one.
One chief is here.
That's all it takes.
That's all it takes. Mr. Sonnefeld, welcome.
Thank you.
Chief Sonnefeld.
Deputy.
Deputy Chief Sonnefeld.
I'm just here tonight. The Monroeville Fire Department, for the month of July, entered in with the venture with Chick-fil-A to do some recruiting and training money requirement or acquisitions for us to help us raise funds for equipment for our training center and also to help us try to recruit members for the fire department. So if Joe can put that up.
It is.
There's 3 sandwiches that you can buy at Chick-fil-A, and at the end of the month, proceeds from those sandwiches will go towards the Monroeville Fire Department to use towards recruiting and retention efforts and also to buy equipment for the training center. And then also on July 15th, it's a Monday, we have a tour of the truck night. We'll have some apparatus up there for kids to climb on, look at, talk to some members. And then also on Monday, July 29th, we're going to have a fire safety night. We'll be doing a fire safety presentation to the kids. We'll have some fire hats, some coloring books for them. And also, at both of those events, we'll be doing recruiting efforts to anybody that wants to join any of the fire departments. So
Very good.
that's all I have.
Thank you so much.
There's also a thing at the store itself, right, that tells which sandwiches
we
and all
have
of that?
pamphlets there. We have helmets. We have our gear. We have some equipment. And then our crews will be there every day throughout each week. Hanging out, talking to people, anything we can do to try to help recruit people and bring
Some of the
attention.
administration at Chick-fil-A took a tour of the training center.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, one of our members took their general manager and 2 of their PR people to all the Monroeville fire stations, the training center. They took pictures of everything so they know what they're getting themselves into and what we do on a daily basis for the municipality.
Very good.
Good effort.
Great efforts. Great
Thank
effort.
you.
Thank
And we'll
you.
get that
Thank you.
information up on our website as well with all the dates, Tim.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chase.
What was his name?
Can we even run that on TV 15, Tim? Great. Thank you.
Nope.
What was that fireman's name?
Jason Sonnefeld.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go with our public comment on proposed agenda items only. You will have another opportunity to speak at the end of the meeting on any municipal item. However, if you would like to comment at the beginning of the meeting here, that is for only items that are on the agenda. We ask for a 5-minute time limit on your comments. I will indicate to you whenever you have a minute left, and we want to try to keep your comments contained to 5 minutes. Hopefully that's enough time for you to get your point across, and it also helps keep the meeting moving efficiently. So I have a sign-in sheet already that some people signed up. If you haven't signed up yet, you will have an opportunity to do so shortly. So we're going to start with Paige Wienand, or Wynand.
It's Weenan.
Wienand, I got it right the first time. Welcome, Paige.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Paige Weenan, and I live on Cottage Lane. I've been a part of the Bel Air swim team for 3 years. Now, I know it may not seem like a very long time, but in my eyes it has since I've only lived in Monroeville for 7 years. The swim team showed me what my passion is, which is working with little kids. It also helped me build up my courage and social skills. I specifically chose Bel Air over other teams because of my friends. I did not want to be part of a team where I did not know anyone. Although I only knew a few people, I still knew people there. I made a lot of friendships that I thought would never exist, and together with my friends, we had a dream in mind of working together at Bel Air when we were older. Now, this dream of ours, and I may exaggerate a little bit, will die and vanish if we give away our pool or there is no replacement. This is also my second season working as a little helper for our little CUDA team. This group of young swimmers showed me that what I enjoy in life, which is helping little kids, as I said before. This group made me want to become a swim coach and a teacher when I'm older. Bel Air has taught me many things, and I want other people to learn something about themselves as well. So I'm asking you to give these people a chance and help us achieve our dream. I also would like to ask you to vote no on selling the pool so that we have a time to make a plan. Thank you.
Brian Susko?
Brian Susko, Lawley Drive, Turnpike Gardens. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'm again here to talk about the sale of the land and the proposed closure of the community pool Bel Air. I'll stay within 5 minutes. The pre-read was 4 minutes and 32 seconds. So no need for the stage hook today, I promise. Last week at Citizens Night, I shared my thoughts and gave details on why I think the sale of the land in 2019 doesn't seem necessary. I won't go into all the details again today, but would like to highlight some of the previous comments here today. To sum up the situation, in 2018, the Turnpike's milepost 57 to 67 reconstruction project was awarded funding, and in order for that project to be completed, they would need to purchase the land on or around Bel Air pool area. They have the right to condemn the land and threaten eminent domain. However, they have not done so to date and have offered the appraisal price of $956,000 for the land with some additional payments for relocation of the trailers, among other things. Today, you're here to vote on whether to finalize that sale as of around September of this year. However, since the appraisal process started, the project itself has lost funding, and this funding is only revisited on an annual basis. So just as the Turnpike has stalled on funding for the project, the conversation about the sale of the land should also be stalled. The Turnpike is not threatening eminent domain at this time, and according to Kevin Surge, the lead engineer of the Turnpike project, the only thing that would be lost would be the appraisal process at this point, which could easily be repeated once the project is funded in the future. Now, there's no way of knowing when the Turnpike will fund the project, but as a precedent, Plum sold the land that held Plum Aqua Club to the Turnpike in September of 2017. The funding for that project still has not come in for the mainline construction, and only the Salzburg Road construction has been started, which started this year in 2019. So the land has been sitting there for around 2 years, and the project is still not have funding assigned to it. Last week, I also went into detail on why the money from the sale of the land would not solve any of the municipality's problems, and I mean truly solve the problems for the long term, including our need for improved infrastructure. As I stated last week, the one-time sale is not a steady revenue stream, it's a Band-Aid on a broken arm. It just seems to me that there's no legal reason to sell the land to the Turnpike this year. There also seems to be no financial reason to sell the land this year. Voting today to not sell the land until the Turnpike has funded their project and is ready to use the land would buy ourselves some time to come up with a plan on what to do after the sale. But there's no reason to lose the use of Bel Air while we devise that plan if the land can't be used for the Turnpike project at this time. Mr. Mayor, you mentioned last week that you were going to talk to the private pool owners, the board members and the presidents, and about options about the area. And I gave details on possible funding options to build a new pool, including DCNR grants and sponsorships. These conversations just started and will take some time to discuss and plan. Either way we go. Not selling the land this year buys us that time to create a plan before the sale. And I do believe, as Paige stated, we should have a plan in place before the sale is finalized. In my opinion, voting to sell the land today tells the community that we just want to get this over with. I've heard comments that Monroeville just wants to get out of the pool business. And I want to be clear, that's not a quote from the members of the council. It's just comments that I hear over and over again when I discuss this situation with others. Maybe that's the case, maybe not. But Monroeville has been in the pool business for decades. And for the most part, Bel Air has been self-sufficient, basically breaking even most years plus or minus a trivial amount. We have not discussed selling the land before the Turnpike came to us for funding, with funding in 2018, at least not to the extent where an appraisal was executed as far as I understand it. So now that funding for the project is no longer there, we're back to where we were in 2018. The Turnpike does not need the land at this time, and the land that holds a community asset that so many people count on, we'd be losing it for no reason. The only real reason to sell the land, as I see it, would be to play nice with the Turnpike and make sure that they have the land when funding comes through, perhaps next year, perhaps in 2 to 5 years' time. If this was an empty lot somewhere in the middle of the woods, playing nice would be a fine option. But losing our community pool just to let the Turnpike get a head start on land purchases before they have the money to do anything with it would be choosing to make the Turnpike Commission happy over the citizens of Monroeville. Now, I'm not advocating playing hardball with the Turnpike. The construction projects benefit the area. More lanes on the Turnpike at certain times of day and certain times of year would be a good thing. But in my opinion, this is teetering on Monroeville being taken advantage of. A statement of the Turnpike that says, make a statement to the Turnpike today that says, we'll sell you the land when the project is ready to use it. That's a fair ask in any negotiation. But until then, we have to protect a community asset for our citizens. The statement can be made today by voting no to sell the land this year or any year when the project that it needs does not have the money to use it. Thank you for your time.
Robert Serafini.
Hi, my name is Bob Serafini. I'm a resident of Monroeville. Ditto what that man said. He said much more eloquently what I wanted to say tonight. What I wanted to say, I think we should table this another month because you have all these people, and like he said, he talked to one of the commissioners, one of the people at the state for the Turnpike. I got the same answer from another guy. Their money is not appropriated. They do not know what they're doing yet. And like I said, I think that Mr. Little ought to talk to Mr. John Romano again, who he's been dealing with, and see what they can do as opposed to, just delaying it a little bit till we finalize it. Now, other than that, I'm opposed to going to these 4 pools around the municipality. Mr. Duncan asked for an estimate on what a pool would cost 2 months in a row. Have you ever gotten an answer what the pool would cost?
Yes, in our packets, we received a estimate, but I don't think it's my idea of an estimate as far as I'd like to see a replacement of Bel Air. So it would be a pool, split block faced, dressing rooms, restrooms, all handicap accessible. This looks like the Taj Mahal. I don't know if we have a picture of it or whatever, but
I was looking for
it came in at
4.2 million to replace one that's similar to Bel Air, and then the one that Mr. Duncan's referring to is 7.4 million.
yeah. So
So 4.
I mean, I don't
One
know.
is
I didn't
similar
see
to
the
Bel Air.
replacement one, but we're not asking for.
this-
I'm not asking for some elaborate.
I don't think most of the people behind me are
Because
either.
Bel Air isn't that elaborate. I mean, it's beautiful, but
Yeah.
$4.2 million.
It's
something
a
in
facility
that category.
everybody can use.
And I can't see $7 million.
Yes. And like I said, when Mr. Osinko last night, he said there was a lot of things that happened at that pool he was not aware of, such as, I must say, the parties and things of that have. I think a lot of the people, don't know about that in the municipality. And he brought up a good point when he talked to that. A lot of people don't know about that. And I think we ought to keep that. And I think Mr. Little ought to talk to Mr. Romano again and see if we can delay the sale of it at least another year until we figure out something more to do. Now, I've heard the fact that you want to go to the 4 pools in the municipality. That was one thing that you said, Mayor, that you wanted to do. I've heard another thing that they wanted to get 1 pool. Now, is there anybody who wants to discuss that one? Because you've said about the 4 pools that you want to divide the wealth on that.
No, I did not say that.
Well, basically, you said
I said we were going to set up a committee to talk to the other
the
private
4
swim
pools,
clubs.
yes.
But nothing is off the table as far as the project, if there is a potential project down the road.
Well, is there one project where you're going to go with 1 pool?
That committee has not met yet with the private pools and the other swim team, in the Barracudas and all the other swim clubs in the community.
So there's no plan to go with just 1 pool?
No. Not saying that that's not out of the question, but at this point, there's no plan.
Well, once again, I'm asking you to table this tonight to let Mr. Little talk to Mr. Romano out there, who he's been dealing with for over a year. Now, if he's been dealing with him for over a year, and you brought this to our attention 3 months ago, I don't think another month is going to hurt. So would you please consider that, everybody tonight, about tabling it one more month and let him have another shot at it? Thank you.
Melissa Beck?
Hi. My understanding, because some citizens have been calling me, Alyssa Beck, Sustainable Monroeville, and resident of Monroeville for 25 years, that there's other parcels available that Monroeville owns right around the pool. So I would put forward that as part of this plan, after we table, or hopefully you all table the proposal for tonight's vote, is that we spend at least a year doing some research, and in the meantime, look into the idea of using some of the other parcels of Monroeville property to put, a new parking lot, because the Turnpike would need the parking lot, we understand. That's all that they need, not the pool itself. Got to put in the plug for the permeable parking lot, or at least the parking spaces that let the water run through instead of polluting the stream. And also, I'm wondering if you found out yet, Mr. Mayor, Dr. Mayor, who owns the mineral rights underneath the property.
We have not found out yet.
And so,
But that is,
where are you in the research phase of that?
Mr. Patrick, you
Yeah.
could.
Last week was a short week, and we're waiting on a title search, and the title searchers last week, as you can imagine, there wasn't a lot of productivity in the country last week, including Allegheny County.
Or
So-
the prior 3 or 4 weeks?
Well,
since the
maybe, yeah. I
meeting
mean,
when we
it
first.
takes a while to search pieces, particularly older pieces like that.
So I would propose then that there absolutely, certainly be no vote tonight, because I am extremely concerned on behalf of the 150 people that we represent, Monroeville citizens and surrounding communities through Sustainable Monroeville. We're really concerned about who owns those gas and mineral rights underneath that property, as it is 4/10 of a mile from at least one well pad for deep Marcellus drilling, which is a very deep concern for all of us. And people can go to the Sustainable Monroeville Facebook page, the sustainablemonroeville.blogspot.com, to see more details on that. The other thing I wanted to do, I'll plug the Monroeville Community Day and our thing later, because that's not on the agenda.
Yeah, and Dr. Beck, just real quick, if there is a vote on the ordinance, the mineral rights, that is not hashed out until the deed process.
If there is a vote tonight with this council, before we know 100% who owns the mineral rights at every level underneath that property, I think that this is a serious, serious misstep. And like I repeated at one of the other meetings, if everybody in this room doesn't move out of this community, it would be a big problem, because we're building cancer centers and we're not supporting the community. And that's all I have to say.
Michaelina Estamera.
Hello, my name is Michaelina Shamara. I live in Alpine Village and here representing the Monroeville Community Pool. I've been going to Bel Air Pool since I was a baby. My family and I go to the pool to have fun, relax, and meet new people. I also am on the swim team for the pool. For the past 4 years, we have won the championship meet, and this year we moved up to Division 1. The team has become my family over the years. From younger kids to older kids, we have all become very close and caring to each other. As one of the middle-aged kids, I was planning on working there. Once I turned 14, I would learn the responsibility and how to be a young adult. I would also look forward to when I would graduate. I have seen so many people graduate in past years, and I couldn't wait to do it at Bel Air Pool. During the day, before all meets and after all practices, this is a time for us to have fun. I would always see kids and adults smiling. The best is when my little cousins come up to me and tell me they have gotten their deep water bracelets. These are reasons why you should not close the pool, or at least find a new location for another community pool. I thank you for your time and hope you take this into consideration.
That is all that is signed up on the sheet I have, but if anyone would like to address council on any agenda item, now would be your time to do it, and you could sign in.
Hi, Carol Poli, 136 Kelly Court, Monroeville.
Just sign your name there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No
Okay.
problem.
Thank you.
This is new for me.
No problem.
Bless you.
The sale of the pool for the municipality is strictly a business deal. It's going to net the municipality $900-some thousand. For the swim team that's here, for all of us pool people that are here, it's an emotional thing. I've lived in Monroeville for 24 years. My children learned to swim at the pool. I took aerobics there, and I've been going for the past 24 years. I think everybody here feels the same way. And it's not, I live close to the wave pool. I could walk there, but I choose to go to the Monroeville pool because of the atmosphere there. It's more a family-oriented place. It's a place where I felt safe leaving my kids. If I had to run, I could leave them there. It's just a nice atmosphere. It's a nice family place. It's not just people in Monroeville that come to the pool. I have one friend that comes from Forest Hills with her 4 children. She belongs, season pass. There's a friend from East McKeesport that has a pool in White Oak that's 7 minutes from her house. She chooses to come there. Another one from Churchill that comes. Our oldest member probably is 87 years old. She sold her house in Monroeville, has a pool at her apartment complex, but still on the weekends comes to be with all of the friends that she's made, at the pool. I think the bottom line for all of us is we just want, if you're going to say, I don't know, it's memories for us. You can't put a value on the memories that we've made at this pool. They're priceless. So we really, ultimately, we would love for you to vote no. If, in fact, you don't, we would like an alternative place to go so that we'd have a place to make memories for years to come. Now, I don't know anything about this, but Foxwood, is that something that Monroeville owns? Because that swim club has closed. And I didn't know if that was a possibility, that we could look into, maybe refurbishing that, and that could be a place we could go to. Does anybody know who owns that?
It's a private club, and there are bondholders at the club.
It's in
But it's-
receivership.
Yeah, it's closed.
Correct.
Right. So, I'm just throwing that out as a possibility that maybe that's some place we could consider as well.
Could be considered.
Okay, all right. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Hello. Kim Janako, Haymaker Road. Lifetime resident of Monroeville, lived here my entire life, born and raised here, raised 4 kids here. Obviously, also here to speak about the pool. I think I can probably speak for a lot of, and I'm sorry, I get emotional when I speak, for a lot of people in the room here that besides the fact that we're losing the pool, potentially losing the pool, what's most alarming to me is that there's no plan. Everybody heard at the last meeting all of the things that are housed at that pool. You have a swim team, you have a community, you have camps, you have all these things that are happening that a lot of people on council didn't even know were happening at the pool. And they're all housed there. And without a plan for where you're going to house those things, I feel you should not be voting to sell the property. If you were going to sell your house, you would have a plan of where you were going to live. You wouldn't just sell your house and then figure out what you were going to do. And that's exactly what council's doing by making this vote to sell the pool. You're selling a home for many people, and you have no plan of where you're going to place those people. I think also, sorry, I lost my train of thought. waiting to make the vote before you have the plan, I think, is the best thing to do. And I think some of the remarks that were made by the gentleman, Mr. Susko, prior to me, I think should be given a lot of thought. And I would really like to see council table this vote or come up with a plan before they decide to vote. I remember what I wanted to say. I also have heard the things about Monroeville not wanting to be in the pool business anymore. Again, not a direct quote. That's just, you hear that throughout the community whenever we've been talking about this pool for the last 8 years. And although Monroeville and the council may not want to be in the pool business anymore, you are in the business of serving your community. And by getting rid of the pool, you are doing a disservice to your community. The pool breaks even every year. The pool is not costing a lot of money to the community. It's providing a service to the community. And by voting to get rid of it or not have a plan to replace it, you're not servicing the business that you're supposed to be in as a council.
Kathy Bernardi, and hang on, because I can't do two things at one time. Thanks.
Kathy, you're a Monroeville resident?
I am, Regal Court.
Welcome.
Oh, thanks. So, I don't belong to Bel Air. I'm the Marlin swim coach, and so if you don't know swimming, and I would bet none of you really do, in Monroeville we have a year-round swim program, and I'm one of their coaches. But I actually am a member of Haymaker, and I grew up in Monroeville, and my sister's on the record board at Gateway Heights. So I certainly have some familiar, and my son swims for the JCC, and Marlin's is practicing at the wave pool. So when you guys are throwing out these pool options, I'm sitting here kind of giggling because my daughter, who swims Monday, Wednesday, Friday at the wave pool, when someone said, something about the wave pool, she leaned over and said, "It's a dump." And it's lovely. We're appreciative of Allegheny County for letting the Marlins practice there 3 days a week for a lot of money, but we're appreciative. But if you were there at 9 o'clock in the morning and saw the sheer amount of garbage that's left in that pool every day, you'd be grossed out, as we are. My son swims at the JCC, and when the Marlins asked the JCC Sailfish for an opportunity to use their pool, the answer was no. That pool is reserved for the JCC Sailfish. So I'm not sure how that can be an option for any swim teams, but that's not my problem so much as this. I'm a resident of Monroeville, and a selling point in Monroeville is not just the private pools, but it's the community pool and all of the community things that are offered. I teach at Norwin, and so God knows I hear a lot in North Huntington about the evils that are Monroeville. They're scared of Gateway in North Huntington. They're scared of the mall. They think that I must be very brave and walk around like, Kevlar vest or something in Monroeville. They have no idea how awesome our community is, and I just kind of think shame on them because they don't know what they're missing. We live in an exceptional community. And one of the great things about this community is our school district. It's a great one. But also, the other great thing about our community is that we have so many things for so many people. And the pool is a place that's not just for swim team. I have a vested interest in swimming in this community. But the pool itself, and I can't help but reiterate, as a member of this community who has I don't send my kid to any Parks and Rec thing at Bel Air. My kids don't swim. My kids swim for me at Haymaker. But what we offer in this community is huge, and to eliminate that for a hope and a promise and no plan is really short-sighted for just those of us who aren't Bel Air members. There are people in here who don't belong to Bel Air, and we're just invested in Monroeville. And so not all of these people, I just want to make sure these aren't just Monroeville people, and they aren't just they're not just Bel Air people, and they're not just Bel Air swimmers. There are Monroeville residents in here who have just a concern for Monroeville. I really would ask that before you just take $900,000, which is a lot of money, I recognize that, of course I do, but before you take that and then it's gone, I would just ask that you consider the value to the community, because I would bet that probably none of your kids were ever swimmers. I would bet that you guys probably don't often go to the community pools, so you had no idea that there is a huge, huge
thing here in Monroeville, but there is. And I would hope that these last few meetings have kind of clued you in that there are people who are very invested in the community pools that you probably just didn't even expect. So again, I would say, I think we need to have some sort of plan before we shut down the pool, because as a member of the Monroeville community, I find that pool very necessary.
Hi, I'm Sylvia Edwards. I live in Garden City. Bad at multitasking. All right, so I guess my background, so I grew up with the pool, and I've kind of had every phase, so I think just on like a regular basis, I think I've only seen maybe 2 of you guys at the pool. I work with one of your daughters, and I think like how they were kind of saying, like you don't really see like every day on an atmosphere like how I've seen. So I grew up there. I met my literal best friends to this day, and I got to swim on the team, and then I got to coach the team, and even now like I have a busy life at school, and instead of like doing like other internships and stuff over the summer, like I still find a way to come back and like coach and work at the pool, because like the relationships that I've established have just helped me so much. And seeing a lot of like my other like swimmers tonight in the past couple of weeks, and all the parents and how emotional everyone is about it. Like I've actually been crying. I don't know if you saw me, but I don't know. It's just hard because it is something that you get so emotionally attached to, and not having like a personal basis, it just makes it different. So on my school campus and then in high school and everything, I have had a lot of leadership roles working with different tiers of hierarchy. And one thing, like a trend that I've noticed across all the boards, was that when you go into like a big decision, usually like you have your mind made up before you hear everyone talk. And even like I know most of us in this room know like we don't want the pool to close, but I think we all do know it's inevitable to happen eventually. But I think until like it is necessary, I just want to ask you guys to seriously like consider like what everyone has been saying for the past few weeks, and just really like kind of let it settle in, because I know it's easy to make a decision with what you already like have made up in your mind, but I think there's really no rush, so why rush it? That's it, short and sweet.
Is there anyone else that would like to address council on any agenda item? You just sign in and state your name for the record.
My name's Julio Estremera, Alpine Village. And I'll keep it pretty brief. I know we were here last week, and we talked about a committee that would be put together and in place to discuss a plan. So my question is, has there been, and I know it's been a short week, an extremely short week, but is there a committee in place to discuss this plan?
Yes.
And has a meeting transpired so far to discuss?
No, we met previously with the JCC pool, but we have not met with the private swim clubs yet.
Okay. So is there a meeting on the calendar in the very near future with any of these clubs?
At this point, the
discuss?
committee was waiting to see if it was going to, the ordinance was going to be acted upon, whether it be tabled or voted up or down before meetings were set.
So with that being said, I mean, and I think you've heard tonight that without a plan, that we really shouldn't move forward with this vote, actually. And I want to, reiterate what Brian said. There's really no rush here. Vote no so that we can have the time, whether it's a year, because it's not going to be something easy. My biggest fear, with going forward with this sale, you approve it, you have your committee in place, moving forward to discuss a plan moving forward, is that 6 months down the road, we hear that, you've worked with the 4 pools, you couldn't really hammer out a location for the community pool to fill that void. I fear that, the plan would sound something like the high school is going to take over this camp, this pool is going to take over this camp. The JCC may allow a few members in for maybe 2 to 3 year period of time. We're going to kick each pool $5,000, $10,000 for some improvement. Maybe they get into an agreement where they allow Monroeville residents for a 3 or 4 year period of time to come freely, and then after that, everyone's on their own, and you've accepted the money, the sale's going through, and and I know you guys said you were committed to coming up with a pretty solid plan and working to fill that void for the Monroeville community, but I don't think that again, we should proceed with any sale until there's been a significant amount of time and effort put forth to coming up with a solid plan. And that's all I really have to say.
Is there anyone else that would like to address council on the agenda?
Bertie Bernardi, Regal Court. I've been up here a few times, and one part of what I'm sort of gleaning from most of you, I think, or some of you, is, and I hope that you're not basing your vote tonight on something that you're unsure of. If you're going to vote yes with a plan to have the 4 private clubs fill the void, I think you maybe haven't asked those private clubs anything yet. Most of them don't have parking available or facilities available for handicapped or staff available to handle the volume of swimmers that Bel Air does. You might think you have a solution in hand and you say, yeah, let's sell it. I know we can get that to work. But I'm not sure if you've actually asked them that. And I think you would be doing a disservice to Monroeville to vote yes without actually knowing that. It sounds like you have a committee. I don't know who's on it. And you maybe have had feelers out to some of these pools, but until you actually ask them and put forth the notion of what it would take to have public swimmers at their pool, probably they can't even handle the insurance costs. There's a lot of, yeah, it sounds great, support your local pools. And there's money in the sale to maybe do that. But until you actually drill down in and what that means to those pools and the burden that you'll place on them, even if they want it, I mean, those are private entities in most of the cases, are just private companies. They can't be forced to do it. So if they don't want to, they don't have to. And so if you're voting yes to, in the back of your mind thinking the local pools can handle it, I think you maybe should hold, at the very least table, if not vote no, until you at least talk to them. It sounds like the plan is going to come after the approval of sale, and I feel like the plan should come before the approval of sale. At least a skeleton of a plan, at least having asked some of the other pools besides the JCC. I know, Mayor, you had talked about the JCC possibly being a home for the Barracudas in the future, but the Barracudas swim short course, which is 25 yards or 25 meters, and the JCC pool in the summer is set up to be long course. It's not a compatible pool, and the JCC swim team is in the pool at the same time the Barracudas are in there. So while I appreciate the gesture from the JCC, and maybe there's something that can be worked out with times of days, again, it's just we haven't asked the right questions of the right people or sat the right people down at the right table. So I ask before you vote yes or no to consider that you maybe not have all the facts that you need in order to vote. Thank you.
Samantha Estramera, Alpine Village. I'm going to keep this short, but I just, listening to everybody here tonight, and hearing everything that everyone has spent time on gathering information. The residents of Monroeville have actually gone out and done research to present to reasons why this vote tonight would not be beneficial. With that said, the things that I'm hearing are there's only one reason to conduct the vote tonight, to go forth with the vote tonight, and that was based on pleasing the Turnpike, from what Brian Susko said. We have not heard any other real reason why it has to happen tonight. Eminent domain is not right now. Turnpike is not pushing because they do not have the funds. They might be pushing by saying we'll do the sale, but they are not taking that land this year, next year. We don't even know when they will want it. So doing the sale tonight, I have not heard a reason that gives me the idea of why we should be voting to sell it tonight. So I am going to put out there, if there is a reason, please let us know, because apparently we're not finding that reason to say that we should be voting tonight. Please table it, look into it more, and that's my request. Thank you.
Sir, if you just state your name for the record.
Frank Pekarik, Mayberry Drive. As you probably know, Mr. Mayor, I did a right-to-know request through the municipality. I got those records that I requested. A part of those were an email sent by one of the pool presidents stating that he represented all of the private pools in Monroeville. And we would like to just have council know that that does not represent Haymaker. We were not a part of a discussion with him, with you, or anybody. And I just think council should know that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good.
Hi, Eric Bruno, Alpine Village. Well, for the second month, you guys have sat up there patiently while we've expressed how we feel about the pool. And I'm sure in the back of your mind, the thought is, do we want to go through this another month? I would say table it for another month. Give some of us that know people an opportunity to talk to the Turnpike. I know the Turnpike's been talked to, but maybe with a little more time, we can put a little more pressure on them to buy Bel Air a couple more years. So I would ask that you table it for another month, even though I'm sure you're tired of hearing all of us, to give other people the opportunity to talk to the Turnpike too. Thank you.
Hi, Kristen Rossian, Garden City. I have been a lifetime member of Monroeville. I've been a lifetime member of Bel Air. I can walk to Garden City Pool, but I chose to take my children to Bel Air. I can't think of a summer and not have Bel Air come into my head. The lifeguards love our kids. My 4-year-old, I feel safe with him going around the pool. Everyone knows him. He is safe. It's a safe place. You guys have heard that 1,000 times already. Come visit our pool. Please, we have a swim meet tomorrow night against Haymaker. As you can see, Kathy Bernardi we all love her. We all swim with her. Whether at Marlin's, Haymaker, we love her. She is phenomenal. Come to one of our meets. If you can't make tomorrow night, look at our calendar on the website, or I will be glad to send you the dates of our home meets. Come visit the pool. I know I've seen some of you there before. Stop by on a Saturday, even if it's just 15, 20 minutes. Just come see the atmosphere there. We all know the sale of the pool is going to happen. But all we're asking you to do is maybe say no or table it. And come visit the pool and give us a few more years to enjoy our pool until the Turnpike's ready to use it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to address council on any agenda item? Seeing, I'm going to close that portion of the meeting.
Mayor, while we're on that subject, can I make one comment?
Sure.
I've heard tonight that a lot of us may have not been to the pool, but I'm a 42-year resident of Monroeville. And for 34 of those years, I've worked on and with Bel Air Pool. That was part of my job as I worked for Public Works. And my family has swam there. And I was actually part of the refurbishing crew that started in 1979, I believe. I could be wrong, 79 or 80, when we gun-ided the pool and when we took it over. So I'm very familiar with that pool as one of the seating councilmen. I just wanted to let you all know that.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to call an executive session for some questions on if we table, if we don't, we say no. I think I'd like to review that with our solicitor if...
So you're making a motion?
I'll second it.
In a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, folks, we're going to go into executive session. You can just stay where you're at, and we're going to exit. So I'd like to seek a motion to come out of executive session.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. So we are through our public comment period. Is there a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we remove the sale of the property from the agenda.
I will second it.
There is a motion and a second to remove this item from the agenda. I'll just make a brief comment. So currently, the ordinance is tabled. Council would have to act on that to vote on it to pull it off the table. What council is deciding to do is to pull it off the agenda totally. So it is not going to be voted on this evening. It is also not going to be placed back on an agenda until council votes to put it back on the agenda. At that time, they would have to also take it off the table and then vote on it. What we're going to do is the committee's going to do some legwork here over the next several weeks and start to get some more answers. The committee is myself, Mr. Little, Mr. Harvey, and Mr. Poach. We are going to meet with the private swim clubs, Haymaker,
Possibly even
Gateway
the
Heights.
Turnpike.
Haymaker, Gateway Heights, Park, and Garden City, also the JCC. And we're also potentially we're going to reach out to the Turnpike as well in the process, and also to the Barracudas team, and try to do some more. Yes, yeah, and to the Marlins, and all the interested parties at that time. So at this point, with the motion and the second is to remove it from the agenda. So a vote in the affirmative is to remove it from the agenda. So roll call, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Arsenko?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Definitely.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Well, certainly your voices were heard, and we appreciate you coming out and supporting your cause. So, folks, we are going to go back into our regular meeting. If you would love to stick around, we'd love to have you. We understand that a lot of you may not want to, so I can give you a few minutes to exit. Certainly, you are free to stay, though, if you wish.
There it goes.
Is it something we said?
Yeah, it's something we said. That's good.
Yeah, that's,
Process
no.
you just described, can that take place in one meeting, or does that take place every 2 meetings?
Hang tight, I'll explain.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Tell Serafina he can leave.
Good luck with that.
Hey, Bob. You can go.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, that process, folks, that process I just described. That process I just described, as far as putting it back on the agenda, that would not be done in one meeting. That is something that we would place on it from a work session and moving it forward to a regular council meeting. We would also advertise that as well prior to that meeting. So it is not it won't just be placed very quickly in one meeting.
No.
So there was a question while people were exiting.
Is it appropriate to ask a quick question?
You have public comment at the end of the meeting. Sorry.
Yeah, we're going to.
Executive session announcement. We did just exit for one, but we also have another one that I'm going to announce, that council conducted an executive session for personnel and litigation reasons prior to Citizens Night on Thursday, July 2nd, beginning at 6:30 p.m. until 7 p.m., and before tonight's council meeting, beginning at 6:40 p.m. until 7 p.m. Council legislative action, if any, shall be taken at the July 9th, 2019 council meeting. Council, we have the minutes that we went over on Thursday. Of last Tuesday, for the Citizens Night meeting of June 6th, 2019, the council work session of June 6th, 2019, and the regular council meeting of June 11th, 2019.
Next motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any comments or questions, council? Roll call, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Arsenko?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Reports of our tax collections, council.
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Arsenko?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
The ayes have it. List of bills and budget transfers.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Arcinico?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
The ayes have it. And the payroll report.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Arcinico?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
The ayes have it. And once again, all those items were discussed at our July 2nd agenda-setting meeting. Council, moving over to our vacancies on boards, commissions, and authorities. It's in your packet in the blue section. Mrs. Gatos, do you have anything for this evening?
I do not, thank you.
Mr. Poach?
I do. I'd like to nominate Gordon Kahn for the Recreation and Parks Advisory Board.
I'll second.
Which term is that?
That is a
Nomination.
That is a
18 to 20
nomination.
or
We have
18 to 21?
a motion and a second to nominate. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Poach, anything else this evening?
No, sir.
Mr. Harvey?
Nothing.
Mr. Arcinico?
Nothing.
Mr. Duncan?
It would be 19 to 20.
Mr. Wilson?
No.
Very good.
Sorry.
Council, we're moving over to our consent agenda. It's old business. AR Building Company Incorporated. Mr. Little.
Okay, applicant is requesting to rezone 7.7 acres of property currently zoned C2 Business Commercial to R5 Multifamily Residential. The properties are located along Old William Penn Highway, parcel 742P74, Garden City Drive, parcel 742R345, and Evergreen Drive, parcel 742P90. The Planning Commission recommends approval with conditions.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any comments? I will just make the comment that this was a public hearing item at our July 2nd meeting, and it was fully discussed. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Arcinico?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Council, we have one motion
Thank
this
you,
evening.
gentlemen. We'll see you again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good
One
luck.
motion this evening. Mr. Little.
Okay, a motion to accept a memorandum of understanding between the Public Works and Utility Workers United Association, Local 537, and the Municipality of Monroeville, clarifying and adding certain provisions to the union collective bargaining agreement, and an addendum subject to the union ratification.
Motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve. Any comment? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Arcinico?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Moving over to our new business council. Two items this evening. Mr. Little.
Yeah, Gen 3 surveying, applicant is requesting preliminary and final subdivision approval of tax parcels 741S389 and 741S216. Applicant proposes to combine the two lots to create one lot totaling 2.586 acres. The address is the property is 422 Hazel Drive in the R2 one-family residential zoning district. Planning Commission recommends approval with conditions.
Motion to approve.
Oh.
We have
Okay.
two motions. Would one of you like to second it?
Second.
Pretty good harmony there.
We have a motion and a second to approve.
Not
Any
one
comments
bloody
or
here.
questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan? Mr. Arcinico?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Mr. Little.
Okay, this was a conditional use hearing we had on last week. Applicants requesting conditional use approval pursuant to ordinance 2635, section 401.55B1A of the Monroeville zoning ordinance 1443 as amended to replace an existing utility pole and install an antenna and equipment on a new utility pole. The pole is located at 4110 William Penn Highway and identified as pole number P.325.402 in the C2 Business Commercial Zoning District. Planning Commission recommends approval with conditions.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any comments or questions?
Just so everyone knows,
As I recall, this is just for cell phone use.
yes,
that is
and
correct.
it's behind the Miracle Mouth, so it's not in a neighborhood or anything.
Yeah, do we
Just so everyone's clear.
Yeah.
And do we still have an image of that?
We did.
We did. Joe, do you have an image of that still, or?
Thank you. There it is.
And it's just the replacement of one pole, and that's what it would be behind the Miracle Mile. So we have a motion and a second to approve. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Arasinko?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Moving over to our resolutions, we have 4 resolutions this evening. Mr. Little.
Okay, the first one is a resolution approving the disposition of records as set forth in the Municipal Records Manual.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Any comments?
No, basically, this is a housekeeping item,
Correct.
so.
Yes, thank you. Anything else? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Arasinko?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Okay, second one is a resolution recognizing the Monroeville Foundation as a civic and/or service association under the Local Options Small Games of Chance Act as amended.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any comments?
Just a question. Fill me in on again what that's for.
What that is for is anytime you have small games of chance such as 50/50s, raffles, a community, this is for Community Day.
Remember, okay. Yeah, I'm good.
Very good. Any other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Arasinko?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Okay, a resolution adopting the Malhi, is that the way, Malhi? Malhi Residential Development Sewage Planning Module.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Any comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Arasinko?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Mr. Little.
Okay, and the fourth is a resolution authorizing the execution of a consent order and agreement between the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Department of Environmental Protection, and the Municipality of Monroeville, the Monroeville Municipal Authority, and numerous other municipalities which are served by the Franklin Township Municipal Sanitary Authority. Mr. Ratcher explained this at the work session last Tuesday.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Any comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Arasinko?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
The ayes have it. And as we mentioned earlier, the one ordinance that was on the agenda has been pulled from the agenda. So we're going to move to our reports of our municipal staff. Mr. Ratcher, do you have any comments this evening?
None. I'm a little voice challenged tonight, so
we'll go
even
easy
better
on that.
yet.
Oh, same as Mr. Arasinko.
Well, he always is.
Mr. Little.
Wait a while, I resemble that.
A few items. As I've mentioned the last couple of months, ECS&R is going to be doing a hazardous and electronic waste collection. That's Saturday, July 20th, 2019 at the Public Works. And also, as, Joe, you can flash that flyer back up again. Also, there is going to be curbside recycling, as I have mentioned the last several months, where ECS&R will be able to come to your neighborhood, your house, and there will be fees charged for it, obviously, but we recommend that you call them, or there will be a link on our website that you can register for that, and you can also register for the waste collection on Saturday, July the 20th. Thanks, Joe. Okay, second item is Monroeville Community Day, as we were just discussing, is going to be on July 27th, Saturday, up at Community Park West. Also, the Monroeville Jazz Festival will be August the 17th. And also, the Monroeville Foundation Golf Outing will be Friday, September 13th at Meadowwink Golf Course in Murraysville. And just a couple comments. At the work session last week, I was remiss in not wishing Mr. Dom LaGorga a happy retirement. A lot of council members did. And Dom, I enjoyed working with you. You're a bright guy. You know what you're doing with the traffic lights and everything else. Another comment is July 20th, the date up there for the electronic waste collection reminded me of another July 20th anniversary. We have the 50th anniversary coming up with the moon landing, and there will be a lot of stuff on TV, and if a lot of the people in the back part of the room probably don't remember the moon landing on July 20th, 1969, but it was surely an event, and I think you watch it on TV because it was the biggest technological peacetime advancement that humankind has ever seen. And me watching it, you don't realize what happened back in the 1960s as time has gone by. It's been from 1903, when the Wright brothers took flight, until we landed on the moon was 66 years. And we're 50 years from the moon landing, and we haven't gone back, but we've done a lot of other things. But I think we should go back, and I think it's worth watching on TV, all the different shows that'll be on about the moon landing. And that concludes my report.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Little. Mr. Hugus, do you have anything for this evening?
I do not.
And we have our Director of Finance, Josie Rock. You do have something this evening.
I
You have a
do have
presentation for us.
something.
Our mid-year financial update. Council has a hard copy of this presentation.
All right. So I'll try and be brief, as we've already, have a lengthy meeting. So what I'm going to be talking about is briefly about the December 31st, 2018 audit and a budget update as of June 30th of this year. And we'll start out with our friendly little auditor, who was back again this year.
That's not Tim.
That's what he looks like.
Is that Tim?
I don't know. It's not Tim. They, as usual, they started their audit in March, and after a few weeks of field work and emails back and forth, they completed their field work and went back to their office to develop the comprehensive annual financial report and also the filing for the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development. The CAFR, when complete, Comprehensive Annual Financial Report is CAFR, abbreviated. And when it's complete, we have to submit it by June 30th to the Government Finance Officers Association. And we've been doing this and receiving recognition for the past 26 years. Once our Finance Committee and Council reviews the report, it'll be on our website for the public to view. I'm going to just give you a few financial highlights, and I'll have a little bit of graphs throughout the presentation. So our fund balance in the general fund was $15,197,592, which is a total balance. Now, the unassigned portion of that fund balance is $14,410,769, which is about 44% of the revenues that we bring in. The unassigned portion, but what that means is it's money that we're free to spend because we have other things that are either committed to other projects or assigned for something. But the 14.4 is really, I don't want to say discretionary spending, but that's really what it is. It's when, if we need something, that's what we would fall
Is it safe to say that's our savings?
Yeah, exactly. Also, the municipality had $13.9 million of gross bond debt, and 14.4 million of net debt outstanding. That is a decrease of 2.735 or 16% from the previous year. We also, as part of our debt, have $839,000 of capital leases, most of which will expire within the next few years. Again, the majority of that, 79.4%, relates to fire trucks, which will not mature until 2024. That debt burden on the per capita debt burden, which is on each person, is $538. Our fund balance, our general fund balance increased by $20,736, which was significantly lower than the increase, the 2017 increase, which we had of $3.7 million. The drop is due in part to leveling of our tax collection audits and transfers for capital improvement purposes.
So we're not
Where's the money come from? And although that looks pretty, money does not come from trees.
You mean it does?
It is the one I
Tim's
found.
backyard.
It does look like Tim's backyard.
Okay, our analysis of the revenues, there's a little picture there. Our 2018 tax revenue, we had 31% comes from real estate tax, 27% from your earned income tax, and then your business privilege and mercantile tax are about 29%. So those are the major sources of income for the municipality. The others are, less than 10%.
Josie, what's the regional asset tax?
That's part of the sales tax revenue that comes from Allegheny County. And it gets distributed to the municipalities within Allegheny County. So this next slide, I just gave you a graphic representation of tax revenue collections for the past 3 years, from 16, 17, and 18. And as you can see, they're fairly level for each of those groupings. The first is real estate tax, then earned income, then your business tax, which is a combination of the mercantile and business privilege. You can see our real estate transfer bumped a little, but that's based upon home and commercial sales. Other revenues, I apologize, this looked better. The colors did, but, when I was preparing the slide, we have state and local shared revenues, which basically come from the state and county, of $1.6 million. License and permits generate about $1.4 million, and then the rest is just miscellaneous earnings that we have throughout the year. On the other revenues, we include general municipal pension state aid in the amount of $833,000. Always like to include our Marcellus Shale impact fee, which is $15,000. That's just an amount to help us with our maintaining our roads and so forth. The fire insurance tax distribution was $162,000, but that does get turned over. Once we get that check, we need to turn it over to the volunteer fire companies, which we do. Okay, this next little graph is the impact of the tax collector audits. That the red line at the top the top is the current, the bottom is the delinquent. So if you look at the red line, that's the current mercantile. And you can see as that's going up, the green is the delinquent mercantile, that's going down. So we've pretty much, with our mercantile anyway, have, done as much as we can. Now, the business privilege, as you can see, the purple and the blue are still both on the rise. So that maybe has another year or so that, I'm not really sure. But, all right. Next slide, we're going to talk about spending.
Linda written all over it.
Analysis of the expenditures. I just gave you a list. Now, the total general fund expenditures were $29 million. These numbers come from what we report to the Pennsylvania Department of Economic and Community Development. They do tie back to our financial statements and the CAFR. But as you can see, the biggest spending is there at the top with police at $431 per capita. Culture and recreation is next at $155 per capita. Then our debt service, that's just for this year, is $113 per capita. And then the rest are, just what it costs to run the government. And this is graphic form, and you can see everything's small, and then we go up for public safety, which it's an important thing to have. This next little table is I found interesting. I compared other municipalities with debt, revenue per capita, and expenditures per capita, and then our change, revenues less expenditures per capita. And we actually, what I used to compare is population. So we're looking at people that are municipalities that are within the 28,000, give or take a few. As you can see, we're doing actually pretty well with the public's money. Our debt per capita in this particular case is 627. I know I quoted a different amount earlier on, but it depends on, there's other minor things that this, I'm pretty sure is going to include those, the other liabilities that I said about compensated absences and everything, because I took this from the DCED website, so I didn't have as much control over that. So you can see Plum Borough, people may say, oh, wow, is that a mistake? Because they have 62 million in total debt outstanding. When I looked further into that, they are guaranteeing 43 million of debt that's owned by their municipal department, municipal authority. So they're a guarantor on that 43. So then, if you take that 43 off the 62, we're all right in line with the amount of debt, but that's that one. Blended expenditures. They're included in the 29.7 million, but you don't see them because they're spread throughout the departments. We had 1.2 million in municipal employee contributions, pension contributions. Police pension contributions were $2.4 million. Our other post-employment benefits were $1.3 million this year. So that's total pension and OPEB, basically for retirees, is $4.9 million, and that's about every year. All right, next we're going to talk about capital. It's one of our green trucks. Okay. I hope you can see that. It's again, this one isn't showing up quite the way I expected it to, but our capital projects funds, audited revenues were $340,000. Audited expenditures were $3.6 million. That left a deficit, well, actually, of $3.2 million, which we funded through transfers from the general fund, which brought it down to $1.6 million change in fund balance for the capital. Going forward for 2019, what we expect to see, if you look at the expenditures, we're looking at $2.7 million because our road construction, as you recall, we bumped that up from the $1 million that we usually do the transfer for. And so total road construction we're expecting to be 1.9. Looking, when you take that further down, I will add we had a grant in 2018, which I think I know we were approved for a grant that we talked about last week, but I don't know if that'll be in this year or next year. But the bottom line is, if going the same way as we did last year in 2018, we're looking at a deficit of our capital projects funds of $1.3 million. And this is basically what we spent the $3.3 million on. 2.1 on road surfacing, radio communication equipment, $801,000, and some other miscellaneous traffic signals and public works truck and a street sweeper. All right, fund balance, there you go, savings. There's our little piggy bank. Mayor?
Happy little chappy.
Okay. As we've been saying, our fund balance is growing. We can control our operating expenditures somewhat, but we actually have no control over our capital outlay. We don't, roads in particular, you can't control those at all. So this next one's a little hard to see, but it's taking from 2013 to 2018. Our change in fund balance back in 2013 was a negative $1.4 million. So through working from 14 through 18, our fund balance was built up over that time. So, excuse me, okay. So I put a little graph in for that also, so you can see the 5-year trend. Way off to the right is 2014. If you recall, I mentioned about unassigned fund balance, which is what we can spend. That's the red. The total fund balance is the blue. So you see how it's continuing to grow. But with those kinds of expenditures we're going to be having, we might not continue that growth. All right, long-term debt. again, we talked about earlier, our current plan is to reduce debt as much as we can. With the fund balance, especially in capital projects, being negative, who knows? We're gonna have to finance them some way. Hopefully, we can get some grants. But this was what I was saying about the additional liabilities: $839 in capital leases and $911,000 in compensated absences. Well, those are vacation, sick time that employees accrue, and then when they retire or terminate employment, some of it, well, I'll let Joe talk about that at another time, but some of that will get paid. That 911 is an accounting number based upon it. If everything were to close up today, that's what we would owe. But that 911,000 will be paid out, reasonably over the next whenever people retire. All right, and there's a picture of, not a picture, but shows our debt that we're down now to 13.9, and we owe another 2.8 this year, which some of that we've already paid, probably all of it, I think. But cash position, there's a lot of numbers there, but basically the bottom line is our spendable cash. When I'm talking spendable cash, we have all of those items in blue are really non-spendable for us because they're like the bond account, that's not our money to spend. Liquid fuels account, the state controls what we spend on that one. So from December of 17, we came down about $1 million in our cash position. And then at June, compared to June of 18, we're down about $1 million. So we're still very, very stable in our cash outlook, but it's less than it was last year. Budget update. I put this in here because we had talked so much last year also about the mercantile and business privilege tax audits, and just to see, so you can see where we're at. We're a little under budget, but you have to keep in mind that this is only year-to-date actual, so we'll probably be over budget on those areas also. Budgeted revenues have remained constant. Minor things that we've done, we've sold vehicles that we no longer use. That gave us about $63,000. Our interest earnings, Tim and I took some time last year and decided how to move some money so that we're earning better interest, and as a result, we're 118% of budgeted interest so far this year. Expenditures are I got to say, the whole municipality is about 50% of where they should be. Of their budget, which is where they should be at the end of June. And there's our little cartoon ending, and that's all I have.
Just to make a comment with council in the public.
I'm not going to sing it.
And I've mentioned before, staff's in the process right now of putting together a new 5-year capital improvement program, and hopefully we'll get at least a semblance of that to council, before the end of the year. But as I've always done, and council knows, our fund balance is good. It's very good. But I always put a but there, is, as Josie pointed out here, where at this time last year, June 30th, we're $1 million less than we were. Fund balances can erode very quickly. And as a capital improvement program will show that there's a lot of capital items that we have to start planning for. We need a new roof on this building, and there's a lot of other, and we talk about the roads consistently. So we're good, and I'm thankful for that, but we also have some work to do with respect to planning this out on how we are going to, spend that money on the things we do need in this municipality. Infrastructure needs, and vehicles, paying down the debt, which is what we're doing, and we'll have that paid off if we don't float any more bonds, which is what I recommend. We'll have that paid down in 2024. So it's just it's good, but it's also a word of caution because of the expenses that are out there. So.
Very good. Josie, great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Josie.
I'm going to open the floor for public comment on any municipal item. Once again, it's for residents, taxpayers, and please keep your comments to 5 minutes or less.
Okay, Alyssa Beck again, Sustainable Monroeville. On a positive note, I wanted to invite everybody to come to the Sustainable Monroeville booth at Monroeville Community Day. For the first time, we'll be having a booth there to educate the community about sustainable ideas maybe for the capital improvement plan and other things. And we'll be educating people, whoever comes to the booth, about other issues we're working with over the past 10 years of our existence. I took what you said, Linda, to heart. You inspired me. You said, come on, do something positive here. So in collaboration with the League of Women Voters and Sustainable Monroeville, we're going to be spearheading, and we're definitely not going to be the main leaders in this, but an initiative called Reimagine the Turtle Creek Watershed Communities. And I'm just kind of publicly now planting a seed with council, with the mayor, the municipal manager, and others on staff, inviting the municipality of Monroeville to participate. There are other communities that have spearheaded this effort to create sustainability and regenerative future options for communities. So this is, maybe you could take the camera to this, Reimagine Beaver. It was presented to the community several months ago in Beaver, and I went up there and grabbed this. I'll have it for display on July 27th for anybody that wants to look at it. It's fantastic. The other thing I really came here for is that I'm wondering about if we know yet what the gas line is going to be that's going underneath Route 22 near Cochrane. If we have any information about that.
It's the same
I thought
gas.
that was just
Same gas line's been there for 30 years. It's putting a new one
a
in.
replacement of an old gas line.
Yeah, replacement of an existing.
Okay, so we are collaborating at this point with the organization, the nonprofit called Protect PT, and they put in a right to know. We realize now they only asked back to May of this year. My understanding is that if there's anything going on with gas lines, that there's something called Act 14, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it requires that municipalities be, I mean, I don't even know enough about it, but all I know is that there needs to be another right to know. If you don't know anything about what that gas line is about, my understanding is that you would have received an Act 14 notice. So if you don't know about it, maybe we're just trying to find out when you were really first advised about this renovation of a gas line. So I just wanted to bring that forth. And the other thing is that was very disturbing, and I want to say it out loud, and I only speak publicly at this point because I do not feel comfortable doing otherwise because of experiences I have had with people here. Somebody from Protect PT called Mr. Sedlak today and was really not treated respectfully on the phone.
I disagree with you, and it's not right for you to say what I talked to her about.
Yeah, well, that's
It's a
for
third, you're talking as a third.
Yeah,
party.
that's not appropriate at this point.
Okay, well.
But if you would like to speak
If you have
to,
any problems with the staff, you talk to me, call me on the phone.
Okay, I would say that it is very important that everybody from every municipal seat, every staff seat, dealing with the public in any capacity, be very aware of how they are monitoring or speaking. And I said it publicly because if I don't, and if we don't, then we get shut down. So, Mr. Little, with all due respect, I've known you for a very long time. My husband has been a Rotarian with you for a long time. We go to social events together. I will not come to your office and address you. I will not speak on the phone with you without recording at this point. And I'm here to say that, that there is an issue here. When a council person yells at the public and has to be settled by the mayor. I am just speaking that out loud. I am speaking the truth, and I will not be silenced. Thank you.
would anyone else like to address council?
My name is Robert Serafini. I have just one thing. In this past week, I received the local newspaper. I don't know if anybody read it, about the Port Authority looking for a new garage.
I didn't see it either.
It was just in the local, did you see it? They're looking for a new garage. And I can't think.
For property.
Yeah. And I can't think of a better place than the school property, which is convenient to the parkway.
What a great idea.
And has anybody ever looked into that yet?
Well, that wouldn't be
It
for us to
wouldn't be
decide,
for
but
us,
we could,
that's for the school.
District.
I mean, I just think someone should
I
look
think
into
she's
that.
hiding in the back.
you have a school board member you could speak to
to
after the meeting, Mr. Serafini.
I mean, I just thought that was a great way to get rid of the 26 acres, and just wanted to bring that up tonight.
Good idea, great idea.
And that would be a school board issue, that's their property, and they would have the say in all of it. Anyone else like to address council at this point?
Sylvia Edwards back again. Okay, so on, I guess, behalf of like the Bel Air team, swim team family, the community members that attend the pool, and the staff at Monroeville Community Pool, I just want to say thank you for all of you guys for taking the opportunity to reflect on all the proposed options. And your vote representing our community happens in a moment, but I think it definitely impacts our community for years to come. So thank you for giving time a chance at allowing our community to implement a plan and give our Bel Air family some more time together. So thank you. That's it.
Thank you for your input.
Yeah. Like your shoes.
Thank you. We've all had to wear that, Tom. We don't like them.
It's hard to buy new
I
shoes.
wore one for 12 weeks.
I wore
Okay,
them
well,
so did I, 4 months.
here we go.
16 weeks was not a good time.
Welcome, if you could just state your name for the record, please.
Valerie Warning, I am a Monroeville resident.
I talked about before.
I'm here on behalf of Gateway School District and the Athletic Department. We really don't show our first responders and our military that much appreciation. So this year, we have gotten together, and on Friday, September 6th, we are going to honor our military and first responders of both Monroeville and Pitcairn to our football game with free attendance and a light refreshments prior to the game. So I'm just putting that out there because we're only 7 weeks before our first kickoff of the school year, and it's coming fast. So thank you for everything
Val,
that you guys do. Yes,
you're
sir.
saying active duty military or veterans or all of the
Veterans,
above?
everyone that we do. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Feel better. 21.
I'm not 21 yet.
Anyone else would like to address council on any municipal item?
Julio Estremera, Alpine Village. Again, I just wanted to, I'll keep it brief. I know you mentioned the committee would go around and speak to the private pools, the other teams, Bel Air, swim team, but as the community pool, obviously it's a community pool. We don't necessarily have a leader. We're just a community that goes to the pool, and we request that some members of the community pool be involved in that process, you know, whether, you know,
Not a
a couple, you know, because we don't have a board, a president, you know, we obviously, it's a municipal, so.
We can coordinate that through the recreation department and the manager of the pool. You know, we can coordinate that way.
Okay. Thank you. And one last thing, I want to thank you all for listening to the Monroeville residents and the people of the community pool. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll leave the floor open.
Pretty soon there'll be everybody there.
Sir, if you could just state your name for the record when you're done there.
Richard Terrell, live in Garden City. I'm, besides a Monroeville resident for the last 16 years or so, I am currently the president of Garden City Swim Club. I think some or all of you have received solicitation for sponsorship for the Monroeville Invitational that we're hosting on Saturday. You should have also received at some point, probably via email, an invitation from our secretary to attend the meet. We'd love for you all to come out. It's all the Monroeville pools, including Bel Air, Haymaker, Gateway Heights, Park, and Garden City. And although it's a big meet, it is designed to be a fun meet, so the kids come and have a lot of fun. And of course, we have a lot of good food, and just would love for you guys to come out if you can and check things out and see what swimming in Monroeville is all about, because even though it's not at Bel Air, it's part of that whole larger community. So that's this Saturday. The meet kicks off at 10 a.m. is the first event, and we'll probably be going till, we're usually going till between 1 and 2. And there's a break in the middle for lunch. Yeah, so
I've already
you
RSVP'd.
I'm sorry?
I already RSVP'd
yes,
earlier
I know.
this afternoon, yes.
I know. And so you guys should have received, I know I sent it to Mr. Little and Mr. Wilson, a solicitation for an ad for our program. It's obviously a little tight timing at this point, but we're also hosting the Division II Eastern Swim Association Championship meet as well at our pool, and we'll have a program for that. So even if you guys can't act on it now, could act on it for that one as well. I know you guys kicked in a sponsorship for Park for the mini meet, so when I saw that, I said, oh, well, we should ask too.
I do have a question.
Yes.
Is it too late to put an ad in your program, or?
No, we're going to press first thing Thursday morning. Okay. So, and I spoke to Dara in Mr. Little's office. She was very helpful. I've already sent her a W-9 in case you guys decided to go ahead and do the sponsorship. And told her if you guys have a standard ad that you place in those kinds of things, if she can email it to me tomorrow, I'll definitely get it in the program, no problem at all.
Make a motion, Tom?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we do a full-page ad in their, in your program.
How much is that?
How much is
What's the
that?
cost of that?
$100, $100 ad.
Second.
A motion and a second.
Third, fourth.
Questions or comments? Anything else? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Gato?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Arsenko?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Thanks,
The ayes
guys.
have it.
Really
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Nice job.
I'll be in touch with
Thanks
your
for letting
office
us know.
tomorrow, Mr. Little.
Yeah. Thanks for coming over. Yeah. All right. Put that.
I will leave the floor open. If there's anyone else who'd like to comment, okay, we're going to close that part of the meeting. We're going to go to our council reports. Mrs. Gatos, start with you this evening.
Well, actually, my comments are going to be for Mr. Johns, who could not attend this evening. And it was really, he wanted to thank everyone in the community that came out to enjoy the parade and the fireworks, as well as everyone that participated in the parade. And thank the committee, all the individuals. There's a lot of time and a lot of work involved in giving that to the members of our town. And since he couldn't be here to say thank you to everyone, I'm saying it for him, as well as I also want to thank him for all the work that he put in to making it such a great event. And I've heard from numerous people that they think the fireworks were probably the best that we've ever had. And I think Mr. Johns kind of had suggested that to our fire display people. And I think we've kind of sewn them up for the next couple of years based on what Mr. Johns has done for us. So thank you to him. I hope you all enjoyed your 4th of July. And enjoy the rest of your summer, everyone. See you in August.
Thank you. Mr. Poach.
Yeah, a couple of quick things that are ongoing. I share Mr. Little's passion for the moon landing as well. from other years. And there's also an event that's ongoing at the library on the 20th. There's a moon celebration. The moon landing is the rest of this month, going on all day on the 20th. And the library's Fun Fest is on August the 24th. I'm not sure we have that in our list of activities up till now. Other than that, now I'll pass it on.
Very good. Mr. Harvey.
Yes, since we were talking about the job Mr. Johns did, I concur with the great organization of the parade and the fireworks. A lot of people don't know how much work that takes. And I know Mr. Johns is ending his term at the end of the year, and I hope he stays on as chairman of the fourth. The second thing is, I wanted to thank Dom Lagorga. I too missed him last month, and I remember when Dom started, because I was in charge of the traffic unit, and I was actually teaching him red lights. That was like a joke. He took off, and I don't have to tell you where he went, because he did such a tremendous job. But the other thing is I wanted to send my condolences to the Frank family. Charlie Frank was a police officer who passed away. He was one of my training officers when I got hired. I'll never forget all the things that he taught me as a police officer and as a friend. So my condolences to the Frank family. And I am, to the people that were here tonight, rest assured that council, in my opinion, is trying very hard to settle this pool issue, which is very difficult. And Mr. Poach and myself and the rest of the committee will work hard to make this happen with the best interest of the community. That's it.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Arasinko.
Just wanted to say thanks for everybody coming on and speaking your voice. When I sat where our mayor is, I always believed in that. And to Jimmy Johns, thank you for the great job he did, and enjoy the rest of your summer.
Thank you. Mr. Wilson.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have a note from the Senior Center, and it's the annual hot dog roast on Wednesday, August 7th. Starts at 12 p.m. And the menu will be beef hot dogs, sauerkraut, baked beans, potato salad, and a sundae bar. And then...
Is Joe cooking?
Joe, you cooking?
I'm cooking.
All
Okay.
See, he's not that bad.
Are you cooking?
I'm grilling.
Joe's cooking.
He's
And then
all for the
entertainment will be Brother Rick and the Throwbacks. The six-piece ensemble will bring you back to the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And the price will be $7 for a member, $8 for a guest, and the ticket deadline is July 31st. And Tara said, thank you. And I have, Jimmy Johns and his whole committee. What a fabulous parade. I never saw so many people in attendance watching the parade. I ran out of candy like probably at CVS.
You shouldn't have been eating it.
You're probably throwing too much.
Yeah. And, well, I had a hard time keeping the guy in the car with me from eating candy.
Oh, blame it.
Yeah,
Poor
Jim
Jimmy
Macaluso.
Jimmy's not here to defend
The
himself.
veteran. Anyway, I want to say thank you to JJ and his committee. You've done a fabulous job. And I have one more item that I'd like to make a motion. Last year, we paid $100 for a T sign for the Coach Anna Marino golf outing. And I'd like to make a motion that we do the same for this year. And anybody want to?
We got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And this is for their annual fundraiser.
Yes, it's for the scholarship fund, for Coach Anna Marino's scholarship fund. Yes, for Gateway.
For the golf outing for a T sign, correct?
Yes.
$100, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is the scholarships for Gateway students?
Yes.
Okay. Council, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mr. Arsenko?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Passes.
The ayes have it. Very good.
What happened to Mr.
And that's,
Duncan?
and that's all. Oh, well, I do have one more thing. The passion that the folks from the Bel Air pool was very impressive, and I just want to say thanks to the young people for coming out and letting us know how they feel, and being a part of the community, and able to talk to this body up here and make a great presentation. Thank you.
Very good. And Mr. Wilson, I'll echo your comments there as well. You know, we thank you to everyone that got up and spoke and gave their input. I mean, these decisions are never easy, and we do rely on the residents to make these decisions. Certainly, there's a lot of things that we have to, go through, but we really do appreciate the input, and it really helps the decision making. I'm going to echo a lot of these items because the 4th of July parade was great. We really appreciate everyone that was involved, everyone that came out. We had a really nice crowd despite the heat. A big thanks to Mr. Johns and the committee. They do put a lot of work into this, and it was a great event. It really showcased Monroeville very well. We had a really nice turnout, and it was a great day for it, and we always look forward to it every year. And Mr. Johns, yeah, he's not here, so we could maybe vote to have him be
We can.
the
We
chairman
can draft
next
him,
year.
yeah.
even
Oh,
with-
I'll make the motion.
Yeah, second that.
We'll railroad him, he's not here.
That's right.
He does a great job with it. He enjoys it, so we appreciate that. But a big thanks to him.
Yes.
Josie, nice job with your presentation, and to your
Absolutely.
staff as well. Great job. It's a lot of hard work, and really put it all together there well, and really explain it to everybody. And it's a very in-depth document, like you mentioned, the CAFR, which really goes over everything, all of our finances. It's online. It's on our website. The previous years are on there. I think we go back maybe 3 years or so on there. But they're very in-depth documents. It explains where all the money is. So, but nice job this evening.
Thank you.
And the Westmoreland Heritage Trail, which currently runs through Monroeville, from Salzburg, through Murraysville, through Monroeville to Trafford. Eventually, the long-term goal is to connect to the Great Allegheny Passage. It is something that we're actively working on with the county. But the Westmoreland Heritage Trail folks, they are looking for volunteers to get involved with the trail and to help out, whether it's with trail maintenance or to be involved with the board or in any capacity that you're interested in. So if anyone is interested, please get a hold of me, and then I can get you in front of the right people for that. You can either call my municipal phone number or email me and let me know if you're interested. But it's a great, tremendous asset for the community. We want to keep expanding that trail. And then lastly, a special thanks to Mr. Harvey, actually. Mr. Harvey, and with the help of Forbes Hospital, was able to have a helicopter land at the J&R Day Camp off of Rosecrest Drive. That's the JCC. They have hundreds and hundreds of kids back there. It was a really great learning experience for those kids, and they really appreciated it. And special thanks to Mr. Harvey for making that happen. So nice job, Ron.
Thank you.
And with that, I will seek a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Is a laugh a vote? Because that's all she does.
The ayes have it. Thank you and good night.
Are there snakes on that tree?